Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. How are you?
Outstanding and terrific, but improving. How are you?
I'm terrific. It's been a great week.
Yeah,
It's been a week since we've chatted
I know.
digitally. Both had a bunch of stuff. We both took in some concerts this week, and beautiful day. New England is like, as I talked a few episodes ago, now it's September, so expect a but cool breezes and 50s in the morning, which is chilly and beautiful, and 70s or 80 by the afternoon. It's a great time of year.
Yeah, it's cool down here in Florida too. We're down to the low 82s, 80, low 80s. Very nice.
So September, I mean, time flies. Before you know, it's gonna be October, and just shortly after, you'll be breaking out your winter shorts.
Oh, no kidding.
So who wants to go first on the music? I'm really intrigued by what you went and saw because I've heard great things.
So I went to see Australian Pink Floyd, which is a tribute band to Pink Floyd.
So does this mean this is a bunch of Australian guys playing Pink Floyd music?
Yeah, that's what it means. And so
Good descriptor. Good descriptor. I get it.
I heard about him before, but I never really. So before I went to the show, I watched some of the videos on YouTube, and it was almost like, to me, it was. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much because they were playing these songs, but they were playing a lot of stuff that's just like instrumental, and really, really drag it out so much that I wanted to hear songs that I knew,
Right.
So I get to the show, and all the songs that they played, I loved them, man. It was awesome. But the thing I saw in the video, there was like way too many people on stage, like about 20 people, whatever. This was like 2 guitars, bass, drums, keyboard. Then they had a lead singer that would come out and sing, and sometimes he played the acoustic guitar. And there was 3 ladies that were doing vocals also, like
the backup vocals. Oh, of course, all that. Oh my God.
So I felt like you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking, coming around to start all over again. Wow, it was a good show.
What was the venue you saw them at?
Ruth Eckerd Hall, which is like an awesome place to go see because it's a small theater thing, but the acoustics in there are freaking awesome.
Who'd you go with? Who?
Jason. So there's 2 shows.
Did he get kicked out for cursing or anything? Nothing.
He's funny though. I had 2 shows. I had the Pink Floyd, Australian Pink Floyd, putting the show on, and I had next to me I had Jason putting the show on. It was amazing.
Dude. That sounds awesome.
He can be a very funny guy. Sometimes he's like overwhelming. It's just crazy.
I love it.
He's
I'm gonna meet this guy.
Yeah,
There was a
he's ready to jump on the podcast as a guest.
has he seen episode 35? Because if he has, then he knows that we actually have guests, and he'll really be putting pressure on that.
He's been watching because I told him that we talked about him the one before that, and
Wow.
he's ready. He's crazy though.
There was a couple of Pink Floyd cover bands around my area, but like, playing bars, I don't know. Were these guys like, was it note for note? Was it like Get the Lead Out for Zeppelin last night?
It was very similar, yeah. They're really, really good. I was totally.
If they're touring, world touring as an act, it's pretty amazing.
But just to go back to Jason for a little bit, you know how we talk about this, and I approach people that I don't even know, and I just have a conversation with people. He does that a lot, but it's a little different than what I do. I do it for like comedic stuff. He just goes into conversation. It's just amazing. He's not afraid to talk to people.
His is more cold calling.
Oh boy.
Wow. It's funny, speaking of Get the Lead Out, last August, so just over a year ago. August, I guess it was. I don't know. I felt it was longer than that, but I was surprising Lynn, and we went up to the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite venues for like a standing room only concert. And went and saw Get the Lead Out. So we had been there 10 days earlier. She surprised me. We went and saw Ann Wilson from Heart.
Oh, yeah.
Which was amazing. And she's like, I probably got pretty good seats, she said to me. And I'm like, I don't think you got seats because it's a standing room. Sure enough, we got there, there's seats. So I'd never seen it set up with seats. And maybe they assumed that the Ann Wilson crowd was older and needed seats. But it was much more of a theater feel. But I'd never seen that before. And I knew we're going to see Get the Let Out. We're standing because that's what it is, you know. And Lynn's a lot of things. Tall is not one of them. And I was concerned, where are we going to stand that she can see? And so we get in there and we ended up gravitating towards like the side of the sound man, like straight back. The cool venue is very wide, but not that deep. So we're like almost as deep back as you can get, and you still feel like you're close. Yeah. And we're right next to the sound guys who have like a whole cage around them, you know, with like almost fencing. And so we just kind of snuck up next to the fence. And here we are like, hey, we got this area. She can see like, all right, this is cool. And I must have told the story already on the podcast. And we kind of turn around. There's another couple right behind us. And this woman is exactly Lynn's height. And so I make a joke like, oh, and he didn't even just say anything. He says, yeah, we picked this. We know this spot. They go to this place a lot. So we start talking with these guys, you know, and of course, Lynn starts like Michael's in a band, and this guy's a wedding DJ as a side hustle, but very busy. Oh, yeah, and yeah. We're just talking to these guys, having a great time. And of course, with technology now and phones, he's like, man, I'd love to hear your CD. And I go, well, here's my cell number. Just text me your address and I'll mail you one. And, you know, we talked to the rest of them. We got to get together, this kind of thing. But, you know, that can happen and just nothing ever happens. Yeah. So this is on a Saturday night. And I was asking them, they live in the same town. I got a friend of mine out in Wisconsin who was always talking about this restaurant in Derry, New Hampshire, Mary Ann's Diner. It's a breakfast lunch place. And these guys live nearby. So I said, you ever heard of Mary Ann's? And they're like, we had breakfast there this morning. So we had all this connection a year ago. And on a Saturday night, so I get a CD, and so Thursday they received the CD. And that Saturday, we were doing a side yard gig. Stillface was in Worcester. And I remember setting up the drums, and I got a text picture from them. And they're in the parking lot at Mary Ann's. So you can see the Mary Ann sound in the background, and they're holding up the Stillface CD. And I'm like, oh, these guys are good. You know, we're going to be friends with these guys. So then we followed up, and we drove up there and met them at Mary Ann's for breakfast. Had a great time. And then they drove down to Worcester for a side yard gig. The last one of the season last year was October. And we've been back and forth and texting. And I said, hey, do you guys like Extreme? They see a lot of shows. These guys see a lot of shows. I'm envious. And Dave and Pam are their names. And
well, wait a minute, Dave and Pam?
Dave and Pam.
Wow.
So I say, I got 4 tickets to Extreme, which was last night. And so it was such a great time. So they live closer to that. So I said, why don't we meet at like 5 o'clock? We'll have dinner together. We'll hang out. We had the greatest night. So they were really early. We were a little early. And, you know, it's an 8 o'clock show. And so it's 5. And we're like right on the whole boardwalk there. And we're thinking the restaurants are going to be packed. We walked right in upstairs. This woman seats us at this table for 4 right on the glass wall. Like, here's the boardwalk, there's the ocean. It was unreal. It's just so fun to connect with them, and they're so sweet. They brought Lynn some birthday gifts, even though it was almost 2 months ago. and I felt so bad because her birthday was 3 days before, and we didn't even know it or had a chance to celebrate that. But we get into the show, and Dave told me that there was a warm-up band, Barry Goudreau, who I didn't really follow it all, but these guys, like 2 of the guys on stage were in Boston.
Barry Manilow?
Barry Goudreau. and then they came out for some ceremony. There's a guy there from the New England Music Hall of Fame, and they inducted Barry Goudreau last night into the Hall of Fame with a trophy. And then his band played, and they were doing Boston. I mean, it was unbelievable with 3 backup female singers. And so they rocked it out for 45 minutes. And then finally, Extreme comes on. It was just amazing. I'm a little hoarse because I was literally singing every word of every song.
Wow.
They went deep in their catalog. They did some different. I mean, I was hearing songs I've never heard before. They did "There Is No God" from
Oh
Waiting for
yeah,
the
yeah.
Punchline. I mean, that guitar starts, wah, 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 and I'm like, I've never seen this live. And they actually referenced it. They kind of said, "Are you enjoying the show? We really tried to pick out some different songs tonight.
They do any new music or no?
Nothing new.
No.
I don't think they have any new music.
They have two albums ready to be released.
2 albums. Oh, let's get one. Let's get an EP out.
You ever watch that show, Simi Hagar's Rock and Roll? Uh,
When he goes and interviews guys at their houses,
yeah, what's it called?
I forget what it's called, but he was with Nuno out at the pool and Gary, and they did the Who song.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
they play some music for him.
Oh, they for Sammy.
Sam, yeah, but we didn't hear it, but they played. But Sam was like super excited about it. Man, this stuff is the best I've ever heard, you guys.
That's how I felt the same way. I was like, Sammy's. I mean, the host, whoever the host of that type of show is going to say something complimentary because they kind of have to and build up some suspense. But at the same time, it seemed like Sammy was kind of like moved by it. Like he wasn't like serious. This is some good stuff.
I think he was sincere. Every time he calls me with compliments, he's always sincere.
It's always.
So,
But that was a cool show. I really enjoyed that, and I had forgotten that here's Gary and Nuno and Sammy sitting like on these stools around this pool, and I didn't realize it till they referenced it. But two of these guys both sang lead for Van Halen.
I know that's something. Yeah.
So Gary and Sammy had some fun around that. I think taking some pot shots at David Lee Roth, which is probably well deserved. But it reminded me of another story that I heard Nuno talk about in some video clip, and he was in his studio at his house, and somebody comes up and says, "There's somebody for you at the front door." He's like, he referenced like, "I'm trying to work here, but let me go see who it is." And he walks down to the front steps, and there's Eddie Van Halen.
Van Halen, yeah.
He's like, "Hey, thanks for stopping by. What are you doing?" "I'm working on we just finished up the new album." And Eddie said, "It better not suck." And then left, and of course, it wasn't too long after that Eddie was gone. But a lot of anticipation for this new album, and nothing said about it last night. But it was a huge celebration. The place was jammed full, and you could tell it's very heartfelt from them. Nuno's like, the only problem with this night is that every gig after this is going to suck because you guys are amazing, and we're feeling the love, and thanks for coming out. It was jam packed.
You see the thing where he went to some kind of studio, something Eddie Van Halen was playing when they walked in, and then he was like blown away, right? Remember that?
I do remember that.
And
then he says, "Play something." He's like, "So now I got to play guitar in front of my guitar hero." Like, what are you doing? Play something.
And then when he started doing the tapping, Eddie said, "Hey, none of that silly stuff here." You know what? I don't remember. Nuno explained where that came from.
No.
Nuno was doing an interview somewhere, and asked me who was the series, and he says, "Oh, Eddie Van Halen." Which is, sometimes when I start doing the tapping, because if Eddie Van Halen was like the tapping guy, I feel silly when I do that because that's Eddie Halen stuff.
Right.
So he says when he started tapping on that, Eddie Van Halen said, "Hey, none of that silly stuff here." It was because of that he. And the interview was actually something that was written, so Eddie Van Halen read the interview and knew to say that and be funny was kind of cool.
Ton of fun. Maybe I don't know. One of Lynn's talents, many, is for a girl from Calgary, Alberta. She has quite the Boston accent, like with a girl from Southie, when she wants to turn it on. And when she does, it's hysterical.
Is it? Oh, that's cool.
Oh my God. It is like perfect. And she really accentuates everything, and the language and the words and dropping the R's. So there's this couple in front of us. You kind of get talking with the people around you. And everyone's excited about Extreme because it's kind of a hometown gig. And so I'm not going to do it justice, but I have to do it in a little of this woman's voice. She turns to us and she says, "Gary Sharon's mother was my gym teacher."
Oh, that's awesome.
And Lynn lights up and turns to me and she goes, "I got to go talk to this woman." And so she walks right up to her. And I said to David Pam, I said, She's just collecting information for her accent. But true story, Gary Sherman's mother was my gym teacher. And she was all proud. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's kind of cool, you know? And it was hysterical. But the show was great. It's fun to look around, and so many people around you are singing every word to every song.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Oh, they sounded terrific.
What,
Trying to
what's
think
the,
of funny things that went on during the show because they have a lot of fun amongst themselves.
oh yeah, I know, yeah.
And it was they they did some strange, like, not strange, but there was a ballady acoustic section in the middle, and they set up a little drum kit up front. So Kevin's right up with them. And they did, like, what was the first one I came out to do? But then they did the Wholehearted, and the whole place is singing along.
Oh yeah,
And they ended their second encore with something like a slow ballad, song for, song for me, song for you, song of love, like this really slow ballad, and the whole place. And Gary's got everyone doing this, and that was their last. You think you'd go out with some big rocker, you know? It was great.
So, when you talk about they always do funny stuff on stage, I've seen a few times where Pat Paget comes up with a bass lead in the room though, and tries to block Nuno from playing, so he pretends like he's getting the thing out of tune and stuff. And
I saw that once. They were doing when they played in Boston on Lansdowne Street. At I forget what you call it, House of Blues or Hard Rock. It must be House of Blues, and it was phenomenal. And they were taping it. This was when they toured the world with So Dodge to Rock, that last album. So it was on a tour, and AAF is videotaping it for the. That's the DVD when you're like, what the heck? I got the DVD and you're not on it anywhere as a joke, and I'm like, 20 seconds, 27 seconds in, I'm in it. I'm because we were like 10 rows back standing.
yeah,
But yeah, Pat, because he starts off the bass line for Get the Funk Out.
yeah.
And he started it early, and Nuna comes over and just like mutes his guitar, and they did that back and forth a few times. It's funny.
So you talk about
Oh, they have a lot of fun.
lady with funny accents and stuff. I think I told you about this. A friend of mine used to do these church directories. So you go to church, and the parishioners would come, and they take photos of them. They get a free 8x10 by coming in, and the photo's supposed to be for the directory. But then the whole concept is that they do a photo shoot, and then they're going to bring them to the table, show them the photos, and offer them a package of photos. That's the whole concept. That's how he makes his money. So every once in a while, if he was short on help, he'd call me, and I'd go over there and I'd fill in. So people would bring me the jump drive from the photographer. I put it on a computer. I said, now I'm going to show you two photos that are similar, same type of pose. Let me know which one you like best, the better one, the one on the left or the one on the right. And then I'm going to get rid of the ones that they don't like, keep the ones that they like, so I can put it together in a package. So this one, the couple had just finished the shoot, and the lady walked over with a jump drive, and her husband was walking with her, but then he saw somebody, so he's waving at somebody, and he went over to talk to some guy, right? She goes, oh, no. And then she's young, she goes, Harvey, we got to sit down with a talker. We got to sit down with a talker. I mean, that's how she was talking, right? And he's he's going like this. She said, oh, he's a CPA, and that's one of his clients. Oh, he's a CPA, so he must know some numbers. There's only 3 types of people in the world, She goes, oh, yeah, what's that? Says, the ones that understand math and the ones that don't. And she goes, oh, my God, that's so funny. He won't even get it, right?
The CPA won't get it.
So he's calling him, Harvey, we got to sit down with a talker. So he finally comes over. She says, Tony has a question for you. He goes, what's the question? I says, it's not really a question, just a statement that I made, that there's only 3 types of people in the world. The ones that understand math and the ones that don't. He goes, what's the third one? And she smacked him. She goes, see, I told you wouldn't get it. The talker. I was the talker.
Oh, what's the third one?
So, I was telling you that Jason just is not afraid to talk to people. We're sitting the people on both sides of us. I was about 12 rows up, and nice, awesome seats and stuff. And he's talking to this lady next to him. But she was with a guy next to her. I mean, they were talking all the time. Next thing you know, he's exchanging phone numbers. He's putting her phone number on the phone and stuff. And I'm like, man, come on. This lady's with a guy, This is crazy. What are you? Then after I says, what are you doing, man? Come be talking to her and grabbing phone numbers and stuff. She's with a guy. She goes, that's her son. I said, okay, sorry, I didn't know. Oh
Oh,
man,
that's funny.
I've done
Wow.
that. I usually don't go when I go to the type of shows. There's no intermission, but they had an intermission after an hour. So I went out there. I was online waiting to get a bottle of water, right? And talking to the guys in front of me, and I showed him Pride and Joy. This one guy just lost it. He says, "Man, that is so freaking cool! Wow!" He says, "I got to get one of those, right?" So luckily for him, I have I don't know if I was told, but I have my business card, my real estate card with my stuff in the front and nothing in the
Yep.
back. But I also have a bunch of cards that have the Pride and Joy photo in the back for people that really like it. This is
That's genius. That's genius. Yep.
so here's what I said. So because you really like it, I can give you this, but only if you use it. And because you're going to be using it, you're never going to throw my card away. And if you need to buy or sell a house, if you know somebody that wants to buy or sell a house, you know who to call.
There you go.
It's kind of a cool thing, yeah. So I wanted to do that for years, but I could never get anybody to print it because of copyright stuff or whatever, maybe.
Oh,
And I went to this, I called Vistaprint, said, hey, those cards that I ordered, I want to order some more, but I want to put something in the back. And the guy says, what do you need? I says, I just sent you a photo. I just uploaded the photo for the back. He goes, okay, no problem.
get the new guy. Luckily.
But when people, because some people really, really like that thing, and when I give them that, they're so happy, like I give them $1 million or something. It's awesome.
It's funny. It's reminding me of the story. My house is still a construction zone. It's kitchen bath remodel, and I think did I tell you anything about the stained glass?
No, but you didn't say anything about the bathroom before. You doing that too?
Well, so when you walk into the kitchen, it's totally gutted out down to the studs. We're doing everything out. And the guy's putting this small window in over the sink. I say small, 2 foot by 2 foot, awning window that goes out. And it's replacing a full casement window because 3 feet beyond this window is a fence, property line fence. And on the other side of the fence is this big metal permanent carport. It's ugly. So I said, I don't need to look at that, but we'll do a 2 foot by 2 foot window and let some light in. We can even do like a frosted thing. And then he says, this is a couple of months ago, and he says, boy, some stained glass above that window would be gorgeous. And I had forgotten. I'm like, if he hadn't said that, I wouldn't have. And I went into this closet 5 years ago. I was at this antique fair and I bought 3 pieces of stained glass that go together out of this 100-year-old house.
Oh,
And I was going to do something with them, and I didn't. I stuck them in my closet. I forgot about them. So he says this, and I pull them out, and he's like, "Wow!" And we hold them up across 3 ways because they went together. And he's like, "This is going to be awesome." We hold them up with the window, and he continues framing out the wall. And we got a refrigerator coming, and we got cabinetry. He's got a frame for all that. I get back the next day, and there's no room for the windows over that window. So his name is Joe, and I'm like, "Oh, Joe, you had me excited about this, and now it's not going to work." And he goes, well, "What about this wall, east-facing wall, so the sun's going to hit it first?" He's doing 2 of those 2 foot by 2 foot windows side by side.
oh, cool.
We hold up the 3 windows here. I'm like, oh, that's it. And so he actually, each window were like this, but they were really beefy construction because each one was separately framed from 100 years ago. So he trimmed them down. He built one big frame, all 3 of the stained glass, and then 2 of the new windows. It must have been a 6 foot by 5 foot frame, and it's up in the wall. And this is months ago. So we're going. Friday afternoon, 2 days ago, we have a building inspection going on. I'm not there, but he has to pass a building inspection. So the plumbing's done, that got inspected, electrical. And I'm constantly talking to these guys about how their whole world is ruled by codes and code violations. And
Yeah, yeah.
like the new building inspector is, she's new with the city. We have no relationship with her. She's going to be by the book. And I'm like, okay, like I'm thinking, you guys are professionals. What are you worried about? And he says, we might have an issue with the stained glass. I'm like, why? And he goes, well, it's not to code. Like today, all this low E glass and all this stuff. So he calls me after this on Friday afternoon. So she shows up, and he's got to walk her through. And their goal is to get signed off and get everybody out as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And not that they have anything to hide, but why leave someone looking around? So she's looking at laundry room, no problem. Bathroom's good. She's in the kitchen, everything is good. And he sees her staring at the stained glass windows. And he decides, I better hit this head on. Like, why avoid this? He goes, I know it's not low E glass. And she just says, they're gorgeous. And so he starts to tell the story about, oh, the homeowner and this and the antique fair. And we thought, and she cuts him off again and says, they're gorgeous. So he says, so we're good? And she says, as far as I'm concerned, we never had this conversation, and those windows are original in this wall.
That's awesome.
And he called me, he's like, we're good. So, oh, that was funny. Which really, I mean, I don't realize the mental hoops that these guys go through because I'm removed from it all, you know.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So from here on out, I mean, there's a few more inspections, but nothing that's going to be, you know, possibly obstacles or anything like that. And apparently it's going to start going quick. It still just looks a mess, but they're going to insulate the walls like Tuesday. They've already called for the insulation inspection. And once that gets done, which is a piece of cake, that gives the permission to close up the walls, sheetrock. And he said, then it goes very fast. Flooring goes down, cabinetry goes in, granite, appliances, island. I'm like, all right.
Ooh,
and I'm actually going to be gone. So tomorrow is Labor Day. And I'm leaving Tuesday. I'm going to see my son, Zach, out in Colorado. So I'm leaving Tuesday till Saturday. I'm really excited about the trip and seeing him. That'll be fun.
So how come Labor Day, most people don't even work? Huh?
Bit ironic.
So that guy that I was telling you that was in line and I showed him the Pride and Joy, I gave him the picture of it. He obviously knew a lot of people there because there's people who were walking around, you know. He said, hey, come here, check out my Pride and Joy, man. And he showed it to about 15 people when we were in line. I says, this guy's good. I like him. I'm glad I gave him one.
Not only are you blessing people's lives with this fun for all these years, you've also created some mini yous who are out there doing it also.
So
it's a very duplicatable pattern you got going on over there with the Pride and Joy.
Pink Floyd had like a crazy lights behind the stage. You know, they do all this stuff, and we're getting down to the last 10 minutes. That's okay. So anyway,
from last week, we should end early, if you know what I mean.
Last week we did end it early, yeah.
I gave it the perfect outro, and then you had another story and we got cut off.
So during some of the songs, they bring out these I don't know how to explain it. It looked like a big balloon of these characters, but some of them like jumping up and down like they were real people or something. They're like usually like three heights of a person.
Wow!
And they had all these crazy light shows. Amazing. Those guys were really, really talented.
Yeah, I would imagine if I were to go see a Pink Floyd show like that, I would expect all sorts of graphics and lights. It really adds to it.
Because of the video that I had seen on YouTube, there was the songs were like drawn out. There's all like music and instrumental stuff, which is okay. Nothing wrong with the instrumental band, if you know what I mean.
I was gonna say, wow,
yeah.
Nothing wrong with an instrumental band.
But it seemed like it was too much. It was like too long. But what they did, they played songs. You know, the lyrics that we all recognize and stuff was amazing.
It's funny. We were just talking last night over dinner with Dave and Pam. Lynn was talking, her favorite concert this year has been Ringo Starr, and we saw Ringo at the Worcester Performing Arts, Hanover Theater in Worcester. And looking back on it, it was a really cool, small, intimate venue. The sound was amazing, but a big part of that show, they had a lot of graphics on screens behind the band, and it really adds to your experience.
She liked Ringo better than Paul McCartney?
Well, she doesn't like Ringo better than Paul, but she liked the Ringo show the best of all the concerts we saw.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're two completely different venues. I mean, the small little theater and Fenway Park, really hard to compare. But did you see yesterday? Joe called me and told me about it. I was getting ready to get out of the house, but there was a tribute to Taylor Hawkins yesterday, live on YouTube from, I think it was Wembley Stadium. They were in London, I think, and I turned it on as I was getting, and Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson from Rush were playing Rush songs with Dave Grohl on drums.
Wow!
And then there was another drummer that jumped up because they did something. Oh, they did YYZ, which is. Not that any of Rush's songs are easy to drum to, but YYZ is particularly one of those, like, you either know this stroke for stroke, or you don't. So suddenly there's another drummer who you don't know, probably a studio prodigy, and they did, as Getty calls it, YYZ, the Canadians. Lynn really should be here today. It was awesome. And then, gosh, she was watching it, and I forget who else, but it was a beautiful tribute to Taylor Hawkinson.
So I saw this thing. I forget what the name of the show was, but it's like Taylor Hawkins is sitting there in this thing with his kit set up. There's a guy interviewing him, but the guy interviewing him was really, really good.
Taylor Hawkins, like master class. I've seen that. The guy was on interviewing. He's playing along. Oh, so good.
Because he'd say, so one of the drummers he likes as well, I like the drummer from, he mentioned a band. He'd say, so what he does is, and he would do what that guy does.
And he would play it. It was very cool.
Yeah, really cool. He did that several drummers. It was awesome.
And it's funny, I watched that as a drummer, and I always look at drum sets to kind of go, how's he got his drum set up? Because I don't think, for me anyway, like your drum set is never fully done, because you're always trying to think about what can I do next, or what can I move? And I got a big move about to happen in my drums. And what I noticed with his kit, he had 2 floor toms, which is the old John Bonham, double floor tom, 16 and 18. But right above that, Taylor had what they called rototoms, and there's these drums that just look like that. They're only this thick, but they're on a big bolt. And as you turn it, it tunes the drum. So you tighten it, it'll make the drum more higher pitched.
Oh.
And above the 2 floor toms on angles, he had 2 big rototoms, and I'm like, my God, there's a lot going on down there. And so it's drummers. We look at drum sets and go, what can I get from what this guy's doing? But I loved that masterclass. That was cool.
Huh. Talk about drums. You're familiar with the band Spirit, right? You remember that Spirit?
Yes.
So
Spirit.
The singer, the guy that is the leader of the band, his name is something California. I forget what it is. That's his name. Last name is California. The drummer was his father, and he had these 2 huge drums on the sides, like up here. And he would play those things. He's playing, but they're like freaking huge, like amazing. I never saw anything like before.
That's so funny you said, the only person I've seen do anything like that is Todd Suckerman from Styx. Oh man, this guy can play. Good Lord. And he's always got a gigantic kit. But over to his right, above the floor tom, he has a bass drum that's 22 inches mounted on an angle as like a tom.
Right, that's what this guy has too. There's one on each side. It's amazing. Wow. Crazy. Oh, I'm blocking a sign. Wait a minute. I didn't
block the sign.
Don't block the sign. Whatever you do.
So I'm gonna trying to think of what's that term when you're in a meeting? I want to make a motion to close the meeting before Zoom does it for us.
We should show them every week. We should stop before they kick us out.
Well, we keep trying. Our hearts are in the right place, you and I.
Yeah, I know.
Zoom's not, but we're,
Zoom, whatever.
Zoom.
Yeah.
So another great week.
Wow. So
next weekend I'm going to be in Colorado. I'll be back on Saturday night, but I think we might have to take a week off of the No Hissy Zone.
Well, you know what? Because we're working on Labor Day.
That's a good point.
We should
take another day off. If we're working Labor Day weekend, we take another 2 days off.
Yeah, we got to do it.
As long as the viewership isn't, seen some numbers. Some of these episodes are getting some viewership, some audience.
Oh yeah, I think we have on one of the things we have 12 people that seen it or something. I don't know.
No, there was over 100 on one of those. You know that.
I know that. Yeah.
Joe Rogan better watch his ass. We're coming for him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we got to put him out of business.
Let's end it right there. Joe Rogan, watch out.
Actually, I'm going to say, Joe Rogan, if you want to keep your thing going, bring us in as guests so we can bump yours up, because your numbers are low, Joe.
If he were smart, because then he gets our viewership for one of his, and he bumps him, yeah.
So I think he has 15 million viewers every time he does one. But if we could get the extra 36 people from us, that would really put him over the...
Yeah, and put him over the 15,036,000 line.
He knows this. He's probably looking for our number right now.
Yeah.
He's trying to say, do I call Tony? Do I call Mike? What do I do? Do a conference call, Joe.
How do I get in touch with these guys?
Yeah. Salute.
Another good one, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the beautiful long holiday weekend.
So I'm a little disappointed with you today.
Mhm.
Your coffee mug doesn't match your shirt.
Oh,
That's,
that one shirt matched it perfectly, but I can't wear that shirt all. I got a little dressed up today.
yeah, I know. You combed your hair.
One of us had to.
Combed your hair. Looked like you even brushed your teeth. That's awesome.
I did brush my teeth. I did a little something.
I thought Lynn was going to join us for a second there, but
Camera ready. That was episode 35. This is 36 in the books.
what was that lady that said my phys ed teacher was
Gary Sharon's mother was my gym teacher.
Gary Sharon's mother? Now, where's
I
Gary
think
from?
I do that pretty well.
Yeah. Where's Gary from? Is he from
Malden. She added that too. Gary Sharon's mother was my gym teacher in Malden. And so this is the greatest. And so Lynn says to her, I was in Malden yesterday. She really was for work. She had to drop something off. And the woman, without missing a beat, said, I'm sorry.
That's awesome, buddy.
And it was funny because they moved to a town in New Hampshire, same town that Dave and Pam lived in. So then they got talking. It was a riot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ton of fun.
See,
Have an outstanding day, my friend.
Dave and Penn, because you talked to him, a stranger, are good friends now. See that?
They are friends now. Oh, we love these guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, see?
Can't wait to see them again sooner than. Pam says, let's not wait a year to do this again. I'm like, I know.
Okay, think about it. You and I are good friends, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
I like that we had checked in on that, right?
all because we shared a taxi, whatever you call it, one of those vans from the airport.
Like an airport van.
Yeah, and we started talking. Next thing I know, I says, Terry, these people really need a good friend. They're sad right now. I need to buddy up to them.
You said in 1987, I could see myself doing a podcast in 2022 with this guy. Isn't it funny how it happens?
Isn't this crazy that this happened? Because I know you listen to podcasts anyway.
Awesome.
When I call you that time, I says, hey.